Brentford won, Arsenal won, and I've got to say, I'm not even angry. I can't bring myself to actually be angry at that. I'm just hurt. I don't know if it's disappointment or if it's just because. I don't know if I'm disappointed because the game or if I'm disappointed because a part of me started to expect it when I saw the first half and I started to think, here we go again. And there's not a lot I can really look at in this game and say this moment here was a really good one for us. I can't look at a lot of that whatsoever. I've got to hold this team to an account now, and I've just got to say we did not play like we wanted to win the league. We played like a team who was fighting a relegation battle. We played like a team who just wanted a draw. And it's almost like they think that this is acceptable. And I see this happen every single time. Arteta's even spoken about it at one point, and he said that we fall into these terrible defensive habits, and that just keeps happening every time. And when I saw that we were getting some good results, we got a very solid result against Leeds away, which is a very difficult fixture, and a result against Sunderland at home, which Sunderland away is a different beast, but at home, even then, it's not an easy game. And you're thinking, yes, great, brilliant, Arsenal's back. We're smashing up teams. We're putting teams to the sword. And that's what kind of gave me a bit of confidence in this game, that we would go in and we would at least try to put Brentford to the sword, that we would try to beat them 3-4-0. And I just didn't see that. I didn't see the intensity I thought I would see. What I saw was very akin to the likes of the Man United game, where the result currently isn't going our way. It's not the result that we need, and we're still too afraid to even go forward. And when Odegaard came on, I didn't think we were really any better. Maybe the first 5 or so minutes, I'd say, yeah, we looked a little bit more lively, but after that 5-minute spell, it was like we just reverted to the same old Arsenal, and I think we're now being held back by our lack of choices in the midfield. And that it feels really weird to say that, because you look at it, we got Eze, we got Odegaard, we got Kai Havertz, we got Declan Rice, we've got Zubamendi, we've got Norgard. We did have Mikel Mourinho as well, but he's off injured. And saying that we lack something in the midfield, that should feel wrong. But it just doesn't now. It feels like Odegaard isn't the player who he used to be. Eze isn't the player that we were promised. And it's like we've got to go back into the market again for another midfielder. And it just feels like no one was ready to go forward anymore. And one thing I will absolutely say is I think it's about time that Declan Rice gets the captain's armband. I don't know why Arteta is so adverse to giving Declan Rice the armband. That to me is the only logical conclusion that I have left. Gabriel Magalhaes, when he was captain, okay, he did quite well as captain, Gabriel. But I think Rice is just the natural leader now, because Odegaard isn't doing it. Odegaard becomes leader and we just become stagnant. Gabriel Magalhaes, when he became captain, we can play some good football under him, but I think it's time we give Rice a try. Let Rice have that armband and let him show you if he can be a captain. And then, of course, we have to talk about the fact that we really missed Kai Havertz today. And Kai Havertz plays the football that Odegaard's too scared to play. Kai Havertz's hold-up play alone allows Gyökeres the ability to move up and get behind attacks, and maybe Kai Havertz can put a ball in, and that is the kind of thing that Gyökeres really needs if you want him to succeed. And Kai Havertz can do that, and that's why I say we've really missed Kai Havertz today. Kai Havertz makes that midfield more complete. Outside of that, you also have to look at David Raya as well, and I think David Raya was probably one of his better games, really. He did make a massive save. When he was needed, he was there for the most part. Wasn't his fault when the goal went in. I think he only made one mistake that entire game, and that's when he tried to roll the ball down to Declan Rice, and ended up giving it right back to the Brentford team. Other than that, though, I don't think he made any other mistake at all. And I have to give Raya credit where it's due, because it feels like Raya was the only one, and this is the most ironic thing about Arsenal, at least today. Raya was the only one who looked like he wanted Arsenal to get that goal. He was the one, every time he got the ball, or almost every time he got the ball, he would send the ball up immediately. He'd launch the ball into the opposition half and hope that one of our players win it. And most of the time we didn't win it. But at least he was actually trying something. He was moving the ball into the opposition half so we could get a chance to attack. When everyone else got the ball, on the other hand, it was like we didn't want to go forward. It's like, to us, a draw was a win. And I can't understand this kind of mentality. We're meant to be mentality monsters. I've been told this before. We're mentality monsters, apparently. But I think we have to kind of look back at this now and say, are we really? We're mentality monsters within certain occasions. But when you actually look at a full season, I'm starting to think more and more we're just becoming cowardly. It's like we're afraid. We're afraid to go forward. We're afraid to take teams on, to find the back of the net. And I've seen this too often with us. I just don't understand why. I can't understand why we do this in general. But anyways, we'll get into the player ratings, and we'll start off in goal with David Raya. As I said, I thought David Raya was one of his overall better games. I think he really was one of those players who I think could hold his head slightly high. David Raya, I'm going to give a 7. Christian Mosquera, I think with Christian Mosquera, he did have a decent overall game. That last-ditch tackling that I saw from him was absolutely immaculate. But I do think in a certain way we've missed Saliba. It was almost like Saliba had that further solidity that just didn't make us worry. Mosquera, I'll give a 7. Gabriel Magalhaes, I can't remember what his yellow card was for. What was his yellow card for? I can't remember. I will say with Magalhaes, he's very lucky to stay on the pitch. That attempt at ball when they were in the attack, where he kicked the other player, I thought he was going to get sent off. He's very lucky to stay on the pitch, but is there anything that I can really sit down and say he did amazingly? Not really. I'll give him a 7 as well. Nketiah, I don't recall much Nketiah did. If I'm being completely honest, I don't recall much he did at all. I'll give him a 6.5. Timber, I was hoping he'd do more in the attack. I think Ben White would have been a bit more suited, but he looked absolutely knackered after, say, the 60th or so minute. And to be fair, he did bust a gut at one point to get the ball to Martinelli, and Martinelli realistically should be putting the ball in the back of the net. But other than that, I can't think of much. I'll give him a... Do I give him a 7 or a 6.5? I'll give him a 7. I'll be nice. Zubimendi, I thought he had a very average game, if I'm honest. Nothing great, nothing terrible. Zubimendi, I'll give 6.5. Madueke, and this is kind of funny, because with Madueke, the moment that I said, Madueke, he's just got to sort out his shooting, it's been a very average game for Madueke, the moment I said that, he gets his bloody goal. And because of that goal, I have to elevate him to a solid 7 performance. He's the one that got us in the lead, and since he came off, I don't think Saka did anything. Declan Rice, and Declan Rice is a bit of an odd one because I have to be very critical with the opportunity that he absolutely fucked up that could have put us 2-0 up. And I have to be critical of that because if he puts that away and we win the game 2-1, then we're 6 points clear. I have to be very critical with that. As it stands, because he didn't put that ball in the net, we ended up drawing the game. And that's points lost. It feels like a loss to me. But overall, Rice did have a good overall performance. He did, I wouldn't say dominated the midfield, but he did add a presence there. And it was a presence that every time he ran back and got to the fence, very good job, well done. Rice, I'll give him a 7.5 and he's my man of the match. Trossard, he got the assist, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Trossard that got the assist? Hold on, I need to double check that. I do think it was Trossard. No, it wasn't. It was Pierre Nkapie. Never mind. Nkapie got the assist. We'll bring up the Nkapie's writing then. But overall, Trossard, he didn't really do much to me that stood out either. I'll give him a 6.5. Eze, poor performance. It feels like to me with Eze, he's not doing what we need him to do. He's so slow on the ball. And it's just not good enough for me anymore. Eze is getting a 6. Gyökeres, I think Gyökeres, I can't be too critical on Gyökeres because, again, without Kai Havertz, it just feels like a different team. It feels like without him, Gyökeres isn't getting the service. And with his overall hold-up play, Gyökeres was very hit and miss today with his hold-up play. Some moments I thought he controlled the ball brilliantly. Other moments I thought the ball just went straight to the Brentford player. But overall, Gyökeres, I'll give him a 6.5. And Mikel Arteta, I want to be critical about him bringing on Odegaard, but I really can't. I think I would have done the same thing as well, really, knowing what he knew at the time. And let's face it, he didn't have the options. The only decent player that plays in that position now is Kai Havertz. Odegaard isn't good enough, and Eze just isn't cutting it. Overall, though, bringing on Calafiori, who's a very good attacking threat, and bringing on Martinelli is probably something I would have done as well. The only thing I would have done differently is probably bring on Ben White, because I know Ben White can do an overlap with Madueke or Saka, and that is really what we needed, is another aggressive fullback. Arteta, I'll give him a 7. The referee, I'm giving the referee a who cares. That's my rating, who cares. The referee didn't cost us the game. And the fans, they had to make the travel to Brentford, which isn't too much of a travel really. And I feel kind of bad for them having to go over to that game and watching that. I really do feel bad for those fans. Those fans get a 10. But anyways, that is my match review for Brentford 1, Arsenal 1. Let me know what you think down below. Like, share, and comment, and please do subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And I will see you for the match preview for Arsenal versus Wigan. Goodbye for now.